Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much. Why do some people rise above while others never seem to move forward? What if the real difference isn't talent, luck, or even intelligence, but something far more subtle? Stay with me, because in the next few moments, you'll uncover the one trait that quietly powers extraordinary success. If you've ever questioned why some individuals achieve greatness while others remain stuck in place, the answer can often be traced back to one word: discipline. It's the invisible force that silently separates those who succeed from those who struggle. Discipline compels action when motivation disappears. It drives you to rise early, stay focused, and tune out the distractions that try to pull you away from your goals. It is discipline that transforms vague dreams into concrete accomplishments. It's not just a helpful habit, it's the very engine behind long-term change. Discipline shatters the cycle of procrastination and builds daily habits that produce powerful, lasting results. Behind every remarkable achievement lies the quiet rhythm of consistent effort, often unseen but always essential. Discipline isn't merely a personality trait. It's the key, perhaps the only key, to unlocking your full potential. When you master it, everything else falls into place. And in the next few minutes, we'll explore the characteristics that separate average from exceptional. Discipline is the hidden edge behind every great leader, athlete, artist, and thinker. It's the unseen driver that turns ordinary individuals into high achievers. Throughout my years of studying hundreds of successful figures from the early 1900s, I uncovered a pattern. At the heart of nearly every story was a shared, unshakable truth: unwavering discipline. Consider Henry Ford. When he imagined a vehicle that could run without a horse, the world laughed. His dream was labeled impractical, even absurd. But Ford didn't back down. He didn't let noise drown out his discipline. His vision, backed by relentless focus, changed the world. And he wasn't alone. Thomas Edison, too, achieved greatness not just through talent, but through extraordinary persistence, driven by iron discipline. He faced mockery, relentless criticism, and constant doubt. Still, in the midst of the storm, Henry Ford didn't waver. Discipline was his compass, his steady guide when the world questioned his every move. Every morning, he rose with clear purpose, anchored not by applause or approval, but by the quiet force of determination. It was discipline that turned every obstacle into an opportunity, every failure into a lesson, and every doubt into renewed resolve. As others laughed or hesitated, Ford pressed forward. His vision remained intact. Not because he was never challenged, but because discipline gave him the strength to endure and the clarity to stay the course. Over time, the world that once mocked him began to marvel. The same people who ridiculed his ideas now stood in awe of what his unwavering discipline had produced. And Ford was not alone. Thomas Edison is another timeless example of discipline in action. His words, now famous: "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration," weren't just a quote. They were a way of life. Edison's journey toward inventing the incandescent light bulb wasn't quick or easy. He faced thousands of failures. Thousands. Yet he didn't stop. Why? Because it wasn't a spark of genius that kept him going. It was the fire of discipline. With every failed attempt, he refined his process. With every disappointment, he adjusted, experimented, and pushed forward. His discipline didn't just light up a bulb. It lit up the world. But discipline is often misunderstood. Many see it as restriction, as sacrifice, as a kind of burden. In reality, discipline is freedom. True freedom. The ability to take action when others hesitate, to press forward even when you don't feel like it. Discipline gives you control, especially when emotions get loud or motivation runs thin. Isn't it easy to stay on track when you feel motivated? When energy is high and everything seems possible. But the true test, the point where real success is forged, is in those quiet moments when motivation fades, when the goal feels far away, and when every part of you wants to quit. That is where discipline steps in. That is where greatness begins. Discipline is what moves you forward when the excitement has faded and your energy runs low. It's the force that keeps you going when passion alone no longer feels like enough. But let's be clear, discipline doesn't restrict you. It doesn't hold you back or silence your voice. On the contrary, it empowers you. It gives your life structure and direction, creating a clear, focused path to your highest aspirations. Rather than limiting you, discipline is what sets you free. Free from indecision, free from chaos, free from the grip of distraction. It's the great equalizer, the trait that allows someone with average talent to surpass even the most gifted individuals who lack consistency. Because in the end, discipline sustains what talent alone cannot. Without discipline, talent becomes wasted potential. And without discipline, dreams stay stuck in the realm of imagination, always longed for, never lived out. So, how do you begin to build discipline into your own life? How do you make it part of who you are? It begins with clarity. Define your purpose. Get specific about what you want to achieve. See in your mind. Picture it clearly, what it looks like, what it feels like. Let that vision drive you, becoming the fuel that powers your commitment each day. From there, build the habits and routines that align with your vision. Don't try to change everything overnight. Start small. Discipline isn't about dramatic transformation in a single day. It's about consistent, deliberate action repeated over time. Make promises to yourself. Simple ones, and keep them. Each promise you fulfill becomes a brick in the foundation of your self-discipline. Each one strengthens your belief in your own ability to follow through. And remember this, discipline thrives in environments that are clear and intentional. When your goals are vague or undefined, discipline falters. But when your objectives are specific and measurable, discipline has room to grow. So be exact in what you want. Define what success means for you and outline the exact steps that will get you there. Surround yourself with people who live disciplined lives. Those who inspire you to stay the course, who push you to stay consistent, and who remind you of the person you're striving to become. In their presence, your own discipline will grow stronger, more focused, more resilient. Their example will strengthen your resolve, and their support will reinforce your determination when the path becomes difficult. Surrounding yourself with disciplined individuals isn't just inspiring, it's strategic. Their presence becomes a steady reminder of what's possible when you stay the course. But remember this, discipline, at its core, is a personal decision. No one else can force it upon you. It can't be handed down or demanded into existence. Discipline must rise from within. You have to choose it, consciously, deliberately, and wholeheartedly. That single decision marks the beginning of a powerful, transformative journey. And while the road won't always be easy, it will be worth it. When you fully embrace discipline, you gain the ability to push through challenges, break through limitations, and achieve goals you once believed were beyond your reach. Discipline becomes your guide in moments of doubt, your anchor in times of uncertainty, and your most reliable ally when the world grows chaotic. With discipline as your foundation, your dreams no longer remain distant fantasies. They become tangible and achievable, goals that move closer each day through your deliberate actions. Ordinary days begin to feel different. They become productive, focused, and purposeful. Over time, those days add up to extraordinary outcomes. And before you know it, your biggest dreams begin to take shape in the real world. Discipline is your compass to greatness. But for that compass to work, it needs direction. That's where clearly defined goals come in. Through all my years studying the habits and mindsets of high achievers, one trait stood out repeatedly. The most disciplined individuals always set clear, specific, and measurable goals. Without goals, discipline has nowhere to go. A life without direction is like a ship without a rudder, adrift, vulnerable, and at the mercy of the wind. What happens when storms come? What happens when you don't know which way is forward? Take, for example, the story of Wilbur and Orville Wright. Two brothers with a vision that defied the limits of their time. They dreamed of conquering the sky, an idea so radical, many dismissed it as madness. People laughed, experts doubted, the world called it foolish. But the Wright brothers didn't rely on applause. They relied on discipline. Discipline to stay focused, to test, to fail, and to try again. And through that unshakable resolve, they turned mockery into history. And yet, the Wright brothers had something most of their critics lacked: absolute clarity. They didn't just dream of flying. They knew precisely what they were aiming for. Their goals weren't vague wishes. They were detailed, measurable, and focused. From designing lighter, more aerodynamic machines to understanding and mastering the complex mechanics of controlled flight, every objective was carefully thought out. Their discipline wasn't random. It was laser-focused. It followed the roadmap they had drawn with purpose and precision. And because their goals were clear, their disciplined efforts weren't wasted. They weren't wandering or guessing. They were moving, step by step, toward a destination they could see long before others believed it was possible. That same clarity empowered them to rise above not only public doubt, but the physical limits of their time. Gravity, technology, social skepticism, all were overcome through the persistent application of discipline fueled by clear vision. Their story isn't just about flying. It's about what becomes possible when discipline and direction move in harmony. Through their relentless pursuit, humanity broke free from the pull of the earth and began its journey toward the skies. Now, imagine what you could achieve with that same kind of clarity. Because here's the truth: vague dreams don't fuel discipline. Ambiguity weakens focus. When your goals are blurry, your actions lose power. But when your vision is sharp, everything changes. Clearly defined goals give your energy a target. They sharpen your focus, strengthen your resolve, and spark a deep motivation that sustains you through doubt, setbacks, and fatigue. When you know exactly what you're working toward, every action gains meaning. When you define your goals with precision, what you want, when you want it, and how you'll get there, you create a map. That map gives your discipline direction. It turns wishful thinking into structured effort. Suddenly, the dream feels real because now you know how to pursue it. So ask yourself, what do I want more than anything else? What achievement would fundamentally shift my life and bring lasting fulfillment? These aren't casual questions. They demand real reflection. Because clarity doesn't come from guessing. It comes from honest self-awareness. When you define your destination clearly, when you visualize it vividly and with emotional detail, you ignite something deeper. You begin to feel your future success. And those emotions, they become fuel, driving you to act, to persist, and to discipline yourself every single day. Not just when it's easy, not just when you feel inspired, but every day, no matter your mood or your circumstances. Because that's what true discipline is, doing what must be done long after the feeling that inspired it has faded. Take intentional, disciplined steps toward your goal, one decision, one action at a time. Discipline is what creates consistency. It's what keeps you grounded and focused, even when motivation fades or when setbacks test your resolve. When things get difficult, discipline steps in to steady your course. Every small, disciplined action adds up. Over time, those simple, repeated efforts gather momentum. Momentum that becomes a powerful force, pushing you closer to your ultimate objective. You may not notice it at first, but day by day, the compound effect of your discipline builds something unshakable. Disciplined individuals understand the value of routine. They don't rely on inspiration to act. They rely on structure. It's in their daily rituals, quiet, often unseen, where progress is made. These habits might seem small, even insignificant in isolation, but over time, they become the very framework of achievement. This is what separates those who succeed from those who only wish. Discipline means committing to these routines regardless of how you feel, whether you're inspired or exhausted, excited or discouraged. It's the quiet force that keeps you aligned with your purpose, even when no one is watching. Surround yourself with people who reflect this mindset. People who are goal-oriented, focused, and disciplined in their own lives. Their consistency, their standards, and even their setbacks will sharpen you. Learn from their journey. Let their discipline inspire your own. When you're around people who strive for excellence, it becomes easier to hold yourself to that same standard. Their example becomes a source of strength. Their encouragement becomes fuel for your drive. And in time, you begin to internalize the mindset that makes long-term success possible. Understand this truth. Persistence is not optional. Discipline, paired with clearly defined goals, has the power to elevate anyone. You don't need to be the most talented or the most gifted. With clarity and discipline, even ordinary individuals can accomplish extraordinary things. Let your clarity shape your path. Let your discipline bring that path to life. Each step you take with purpose becomes part of a greater journey, one that is not rushed, but unwavering. So today, define your destination with precision. Tomorrow, take the first step toward it with discipline. And the next day, do it again. Continue this journey without hesitation. Let every day be marked by steady, focused action until your dreams are no longer just ideas, but lived experiences. Real, earned, achieved. Your goals are not far-off dreams. They're within reach, waiting for one thing: your disciplined pursuit. When you combine clear, specific goals with daily commitment, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to witness dreams transforming into concrete, lasting achievements. And as that transformation unfolds, you'll see what sets true achievers apart: discipline, especially in the face of adversity. Because adversity is inevitable. Life doesn't move in a straight line. It throws obstacles, setbacks, and unexpected detours. But for the disciplined individual, these aren't reasons to give up. They become part of the process. In fact, discipline reframes how you see hardship. It teaches you to view challenges not as walls blocking your path, but as stepping stones designed to elevate you. Think about it. What if every failure you faced was simply preparing you for something greater? Consider the story of Abraham Lincoln, an enduring example of how discipline in the face of repeated setbacks can shape greatness. His journey wasn't one of early success. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Lincoln experienced defeat after defeat. He lost numerous political elections, endured personal and financial losses, and faced criticism that would have broken many others. At any point, Lincoln could have quit. The failures were deep. The losses were painful. But he didn't give in. What carried him forward wasn't luck or sudden opportunity. It was his disciplined mindset. He chose resilience over bitterness, growth over stagnation. Each setback became a lesson. Each failure became a turning point. Lincoln didn't let his past define his future. He used adversity to shape his resolve, and with every disappointment, his character grew stronger. Over time, that inner discipline became unshakable, and eventually, it led him to the highest office in the nation. He became the president who would guide the United States through one of its darkest, most divided periods. That legacy wasn't built in moments of ease, but through unwavering commitment in the midst of hardship. Discipline was the fuel behind Lincoln's resilience. It was the force that allowed him to endure, to adapt, and to rise. And that same force, when embraced in your own life, can empower you to navigate adversity and emerge even stronger on the other side. Because thriving through difficulty isn't just about survival. It's about becoming. And discipline is what makes that transformation possible. Discipline gives you the courage to rise every time you fall. It builds within you the strength to keep moving forward when challenges appear, even when the odds seem to be stacked against you. It is discipline that keeps your setbacks from becoming permanent defeats. Because when adversity strikes, and it will, it's discipline that helps you pause, regain focus, and remember a vital truth. Setbacks are temporary. Every difficulty carries something within it. A lesson, a hidden opportunity, a chance to become stronger, sharper, and wiser. But only if you're willing to look for it. Discipline trains your mind to look beyond the sting of the moment. Rather than getting caught in disappointment or frustration, it teaches you to search for meaning in your struggle. This shift in perspective is powerful. With a disciplined mindset, hardships are no longer just roadblocks. They become tools. Tools that shape your resilience, build your wisdom, and prepare you for greater challenges ahead. When life tests you, discipline allows you to ask questions that shift your mindset. What can I learn from this? How can this strengthen me? Where is the opportunity in this pain? These aren't just questions, they're keys. And with discipline, you begin to unlock insights that would otherwise stay buried beneath frustration. But this resilience doesn't develop on its own. It requires conscious, daily effort. You must choose discipline again and again. Establish routines that ground you. Build habits that keep you strong, especially when things aren't going your way. Because in the toughest moments, it's not grand actions that carry you through. It's consistent effort, repeated over time. The discipline to stay consistent. When it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when no one else is watching, builds a foundation of inner strength. It prepares your mind and your emotions to stand firm when life pushes back. And don't do it alone. Surround yourself with people who embody the values you want to strengthen in yourself. Seek out those who face adversity with discipline and grace. Their example will serve as a reminder of what's possible. Their presence will help you stay committed to your path, even when that path is steep. Equally important, stay connected to your goals. Let them guide you. In moments of struggle, your goals remind you why you started. They help you keep your eyes on the bigger picture so that temporary pain doesn't cloud your long-term vision. Because here's the truth, adversity isn't your enemy. It's your teacher, and discipline is what allows you to learn, grow, and come out stronger on the other side. Every difficulty, every setback, and every failure carries within it the seed of an equal or even greater benefit. But that seed doesn't grow on its own. You must discipline yourself to recognize it, to nurture it, and to allow it to take root in your life. This is how resilience is built. This is how true personal growth begins. When you make this practice a habit, when you train yourself to see value in adversity, you'll begin to notice a shift. Setbacks no longer feel like endings. They become the very foundation for your most meaningful breakthroughs. They stop holding you back and start pushing you forward. In time, you'll come to see what once felt like a failure was actually setting the stage for your greatest success. Discipline gives you that power, the power to rewrite your own story, to stop being defined by past mistakes or obstacles, and instead become the author of a new, more empowered narrative. No longer hindered by what went wrong, you emerge as someone who sees possibility in difficulty, as someone who doesn't run from challenge but leans into it with purpose. Embrace discipline fully. Let it fuel your inner strength. Let it deepen your resilience. And let it lead you, step by step, toward the life you're truly capable of living. Because with discipline, life's challenges don't just test you, they shape you. They become essential moments of transformation, turning each obstacle into a stepping stone on the path to your highest achievements. But discipline, on its own, is only part of the equation. The true foundation of achievement begins with belief in yourself. From my experience, no individual can rise higher than their own level of self-belief. And this belief is not some feel-good thought. It's the cornerstone upon which all lasting success is built. Before you can lead others, before you can shape your environment or circumstances, you must first lead your own mind. You must command your inner world with a quiet conviction that you are capable, worthy, and destined to accomplish great things. Look at Thomas Edison. He lit up the world, literally, but not without hardship. He failed thousands of times in his pursuit of a working light bulb. Yet never once did he allow failure to define him. Never did he waver in his belief. He held onto a vision so vivid, a purpose so clear, that even the darkness of failure couldn't dim it. That right there is the power of self-belief. And here's the key. Discipline is the loyal servant of belief. Belief provides the vision, the dream, the destination. But discipline is what builds the bridge to get there. Without discipline, belief is only a beautiful idea, a castle floating in the clouds, unreachable. But when belief is paired with discipline, something incredible happens. Vision becomes action, hope becomes progress, and the life you imagine begins to take shape one deliberate step at a time. And without belief, discipline has no direction. The two must walk together, side by side, each one reinforcing the other. Belief gives you the vision. Discipline gives you the plan. Mr. Edison did not simply believe in success. He didn't rely on hope or good fortune. He disciplined himself every single day to pursue his vision relentlessly. He structured his life, ordered his thoughts, and aligned his actions with his belief. He wasn't moved by fleeting motivation. He was grounded in method, repetition, and purpose. Every hour he spent working, every failure he endured, was like a brick laid by the steady hands of discipline upon the unshakable foundation of belief. And so it must be for you. Begin, first and always, with belief. Declare it to yourself each day, not as wishful thinking, but with unwavering conviction. Say it aloud, clearly and boldly. I am capable. I am worthy. I will succeed. These are not empty affirmations. They are declarations of truth, meant to shape your identity and fuel your pursuit. Never let any person, any circumstance, or any moment of failure convince you otherwise. Doubt, if left unchallenged, is a silent thief. It steals your potential slowly, quietly, until you forget what you were capable of to begin with. So you must guard your mind fiercely, as you would guard something of immense value. Treat it as a vault. Do not allow thoughts of inferiority or weakness to enter and settle. The moment they appear, reject them. Replace them with thoughts of purpose, strength, and ability. This is not simply positive thinking. This is mental discipline. You must train your mind the way a soldier trains for war, with focus, repetition, and precision. Why? Because your thoughts shape your beliefs. Your beliefs influence your actions, and your actions determine your future. But it all begins with belief. Over the years, I have sat across from individuals who hold great power, wealth, and influence. People who changed industries, shaped communities, and redefined what was possible. And I've witnessed something consistent among them. They did not rise because of luck or privilege. Most began with little, but they believed, truly believed when no one else did. They believed when others laughed. They held on when evidence was scarce and encouragement was nowhere to be found. Yet through their belief, they cultivated a vision so clear, so compelling, that eventually the right people, opportunities, and circumstances began to align around them. But make no mistake, belief alone is not enough. Without discipline, belief becomes a dreamer's trap, a hope that floats but never lands. You must act on your belief. You must translate it into motion. Because belief, no matter how strong, can only take shape in the real world when discipline brings it to life. Let every action you take be guided by intention. Wake up with purpose. Start your day not in a rush, but with clarity. Set your plans. Focus your energy. Feed your mind thoughts that uplift, strengthen, and sharpen your inner resolve. Choose your company wisely. Surround yourself with people who elevate your thinking, challenge you to grow, and remind you of what you're capable of becoming. And when failure comes, because it will, don't run from it. Don't curse it. Welcome it. Learn from it. See it for what it truly is, a teacher in disguise. Reaffirm your belief all the more. Let setbacks deepen your resolve instead of breaking your spirit. Always remember, success isn't handed to the most gifted. It belongs to those who are most relentless. And that kind of relentless determination is born from belief, but it matures through discipline. That's how resolve is built. Not in moments of ease, but in the quiet, repeated decision to keep showing up when things get hard. So I say this to you, believe in yourself. Not mildly, not occasionally, but with every ounce of strength your soul can summon. Then discipline yourself like your dreams depend on it, because they do. That's the truth many miss. When belief and discipline are fully aligned, when they move together with purpose, there is no goal too distant, no ambition too great to achieve. In the pursuit of success, so many search for hidden secrets, imagining that achievement lies behind locked doors accessible only to a chosen few. But what if the real secret isn't hidden at all? What if the most powerful truth has been in plain sight all along? Your passion is your purpose. And from that purpose flows a discipline that is deep, enduring, and immovable. A discipline that carries you through storms, through silence, through every setback that dares to stand in your way. Take Ludwig van Beethoven, one of the greatest composers the world has ever known. As he climbed toward artistic immortality, fate delivered what should have been a final, crushing blow, the loss of his hearing. For a musician, that isn't just a challenge, it's a devastation. Yet for Beethoven, it wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something greater. In the silence that followed, he created his most transcendent works. Masterpieces not in spite of his loss, but shaped by it. So how did he continue? How did he write symphonies in a world where he could no longer hear a single note? The answer lies in one word: passion. Beethoven's love for music wasn't a preference. It wasn't a hobby. It was his purpose. It lived in his spirit, in the core of who he was. And that passion became his driving force. It fed his discipline. It gave him strength when reason would have told him to quit. Because when purpose runs deep, discipline rises with it. And from that union comes a level of achievement that defies logic, transcends limitation, and touches something timeless. Not the kind of discipline imposed by obligation or external pressure, but the kind that flows freely, almost effortlessly, from within. Beethoven's discipline was not rigid or mechanical. It didn't come from duty, it came from joy, a deep, internal drive to express himself, one note at a time. It was a natural rhythm, not a forced routine. You see, when a man truly discovers his passion, discipline no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a set of wings. The world often describes discipline in harsh terms: sacrifice, suffering, struggle. But that version of discipline only exists when a person is walking a path that doesn't belong to him. When your path is lit by passion, when it aligns with the very core of who you are, the effort required to stay on that path no longer feels heavy. It becomes something meaningful, something sacred. Throughout my life, I've had the privilege of speaking with many men, some wealthy, some barely getting by, some powerful, others overlooked. But among all of them, one truth stands out. The ones who succeeded not only outwardly, but also inwardly, who found peace in their pursuits, were those who aligned their external efforts with their internal calling. They weren't just working hard. They were working with love, with purpose, and that love transformed their daily disciplines into a source of grace, into something they looked forward to rather than something they endured. Isn't that the difference that makes all the difference? So ask yourself, what is it that stirs your soul? What would you still do, even if no one clapped, no one paid, and no one noticed? What would you pursue simply because not doing it would feel like a loss to your spirit? Somewhere in that answer lies a clue, a seed, the seed of your true calling. And once you've found it, your task is clear. Nourish it. Feed it with consistent, disciplined effort, not out of guilt, not out of fear, but out of devotion to something that already lives inside you. When passion is your source, discipline becomes a rhythm. It becomes the musician who wakes up before sunrise to practice scales. Not because he's told to, but because he simply can't imagine not doing it. It becomes the inventor hunched over plans at midnight, not out of pressure, but from the pure pull of purpose. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling lost, perhaps the problem isn't a lack of discipline. Perhaps it's a lack of alignment, a distance from the passion that once made time disappear and effort feel effortless. Reconnect. Realign. Rediscover the fire you once had, or the one still waiting to be found. And once you do, build your life around it. Organize your habits, your priorities, your time around what gives you life. Because when discipline flows from passion, it's no longer something you must endure. It becomes something you choose, something you treasure, something that, in its own quiet way, leads you to greatness. Let your mornings become sacred, reserved not for distractions, but for your purpose. Begin each day with intention, with quiet focus, and with rituals that bring you closer to what you were meant to do. Allow your habits to form around your calling, supporting it, strengthening it, and keeping it alive even when motivation fades. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, those who reflect your dedication, echo your values, and elevate your spirit. The people around you matter. They either push you forward or pull you back. Choose wisely, and above all, invest in your passion as though it were your most valuable possession. Because in truth, it is. Treat it with the same care, attention, and reverence you would offer something priceless, because it holds the power to shape your life far beyond material wealth. Remember this timeless truth. Challenges won't vanish just because you follow your passion. The road will not suddenly become easy, but the nature of the struggle will change. Obstacles will no longer feel like enemies. They will become your allies, tough, demanding, but necessary companions on the journey. They will test your patience, your skill, your willpower, but they will also refine your craft. They will stretch your capacity, sharpen your instincts, and prepare you for the weight of greatness. For when discipline is fueled by passion, success becomes a matter not of chance, but of time. It's no longer a question of if, but when. So I urge you, find your passion. Discover what sets your soul on fire. Then honor it, live it, shape your days around it. Let it become the fuel behind every disciplined action you take. Because when passion and discipline merge, when they walk in step together, your potential is no longer limited. Your greatness is not optional. It becomes inevitable. And speaking of greatness forged through discipline, let us consider the life of Benjamin Franklin, one of the great architects of American ingenuity. Born into modest circumstances, Franklin had no formal schooling beyond the age of 10. Yet he rose to become a statesman, inventor, philosopher, writer, and diplomat. How did he achieve so much with so little? The answer, once again, is discipline. Franklin created a daily regimen that prioritized self-education, reflection, experimentation, and deliberate personal growth. He treated the cultivation of his mind as an artist would treat a block of marble, with care, with vision, and with patient craftsmanship. He carried books wherever he went. He studied languages in his spare time. He observed the natural world with insatiable curiosity. He filled notebooks with questions, ideas, and reflections. He was relentless, not in chasing fame or fortune, but in shaping himself into the person he aspired to become. He tested theories. He challenged assumptions. And more than anything, Benjamin Franklin never stopped learning. That perhaps was his greatest discipline, the commitment to remain a student of life, no matter how much he achieved. What Franklin understood, and what every person striving for greatness must come to realize, is this: knowledge is not fixed. It does not sit still. It is living, moving, constantly expanding and shifting. And if you want to stay sharp, relevant, and impactful in a world that never stops evolving, you must be willing to move with it. Growth, however, doesn't happen by accident. It's not something you stumble into. It requires intentional effort. It requires discipline. Lifelong learning is not simply a virtue, it is a necessity. It calls for consistency, repetition, and habit. Just as you breathe without thinking, so too must learning become instinctive, automatic, part of the rhythm of your daily life. It doesn't matter what your title is. Whether you're a teacher, a builder, a business owner, a farmer, or a financier, the moment you stop learning is the moment you begin to fall behind. Your mind begins to stagnate. Your perspective narrows. Your skills lose their edge. And with that, your potential begins to shrink. Discipline is what keeps the mind alive and vibrant. Because learning is not a single event. It's not a weekend workshop or a flash of inspiration. Real learning, the kind that changes you, happens in small steps, repeated over time. It's slow, it's steady, but it is incredibly powerful. Just like compound interest, the gains may seem small at first. The insights may appear minor, but keep at it, and those small efforts accumulate. They build into deep understanding, strong capability, and a level of wisdom that can't be rushed. That's why you must commit to learning something new every single day. Not just when it's convenient, not just when you feel inspired. Every day, set aside time to grow. Read a chapter of a book, study a principle, listen to a lecture, reflect on an idea that challenges your thinking. Ask yourself, what did I learn today that I didn't know yesterday? And more importantly, how can I apply it? Because when learning becomes a daily discipline, it doesn't just add to your knowledge, it expands who you are. Keep a journal of your insights. Write down what you learn, what you notice, and what you begin to understand. But don't stop there. Test your knowledge through action. Apply what you've learned. Let your ideas be shaped and strengthened by real-world experience. Never be content with information alone. Knowledge is the beginning, but it's not the end. Seek understanding, and then put that understanding to work in service of your goals. True learning is lived, not memorized. The world is accelerating. With each passing month, new technologies, philosophies, and systems emerge. Everything is evolving faster than ever before. And in such a world, standing still is no longer neutral. It's a step backward. If you do not make learning a consistent, deliberate priority, you'll be left behind. Not because you lack intelligence, but because you fail to keep pace. But here's the good news. If you discipline yourself to grow, to truly grow, there is no ceiling to what you can become. I have witnessed this truth in some of the most remarkable individuals, influential leaders, visionary thinkers, resilient pioneers. What sets them apart isn't just ambition. It's devotion to learning. They are students first and always. While others speak, they take notes. While others assume, they ask questions. While others sleep, they read. While others distract themselves, they reflect. This is no coincidence. Their edge is not built on raw talent alone, but on discipline, a quiet, consistent commitment to becoming better. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you are capable of becoming. It's the path that transforms potential into performance. Let it carry you to new frontiers of thought. Let it refine your decisions. Let it unlock doors that talent, on its own, cannot. So I urge you, cultivate a daily discipline of learning. Make your mind a garden. Feed it with knowledge. Water it with curiosity. Enrich it with humility. Because in that space, beneath the surface, the seeds of greatness begin to take root. And over time, with enough care, they grow. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. Success is not a fixed destination. It is a lifelong journey, a lesson that never ends. And the disciplined learner is always in motion, always evolving, always rising. Now consider this. How do you respond when life changes? Because it always does. Discipline in the face of change. This is where many falter. Change is the great constant of life. It arrives without announcement. It disrupts, reshapes, and redefines the very structure of our lives, our work, and our plans. Many people fear change. Others resist it. Some are even broken by it. But the wise? They don't pretend change is easy. They welcome it. Not because it's simple, but because they have trained for it. Through discipline, they have built adaptability. They are not undone by change. They are refined by it. Let us take a moment to reflect on the economic upheavals of the 1950s, a decade marked not just by recovery, but by profound transformation. Long-standing industries stumbled. Entire sectors faded. New markets, driven by innovation and global shifts, began to emerge. For many, it was a time of deep uncertainty. Lifelong careers vanished overnight. Familiar systems crumbled. For countless individuals, the world they knew was shaken at its foundation. And yet, within the chaos, a small group of visionaries saw something different. They saw what others couldn't: opportunity. While many clung to the past, these pioneers leaned into the future. They adapted quickly. They pivoted not in panic, but with purpose. And in doing so, they positioned themselves not as casualties of change, but as architects of a new era. So what separated them? Was it chance? Was it timing? No, it was none of those things. It was disciplined adaptability. These individuals had trained their minds long before the crisis came. They knew how to stay calm when the pressure rose. They had cultivated the habit of scanning the horizon, not for danger, but for potential. Their ability to respond wasn't reactive. It was strategic, and that made all the difference. You must understand this. Change is not your enemy. Change is inevitable. Resistance is the real threat. The man who clings to yesterday, who refuses to adapt, will be buried by the tide of tomorrow. But the one who disciplines himself to remain flexible, who learns to evolve with intention, who responds with clarity instead of reacting in fear, that man will not just survive the storm. He will rise through it. Adaptability does not mean chaos. It's not the abandonment of your values. It's not random motion. Disciplined adaptability is something far more powerful. It is the ability to stay rooted in your purpose while adjusting your methods. It is standing firm at your core, even as your strategy shifts. And like any form of strength, it must be trained. Discipline yourself to stay grounded in times of pressure. Train your eyes to observe, your breath to steady, your thoughts to clarify. When others panic, take a step back. Watch, reflect, assess. Because the mind that can remain still in the middle of uncertainty is the mind that uncovers solutions while others are paralyzed by problems. Is adaptability natural for everyone? No. In fact, many find safety in routine. They seek comfort in what is known, in what feels controlled. But progress never resides in comfort. And movement, true, Meaningful movement requires change. So train yourself to embrace it. Each day, ask the questions that few are willing to consider. What has changed? What can I learn from this shift? How can I grow because of it, not in spite of it? When you begin to approach life in this way, you cultivate more than resilience. You cultivate a mindset built for momentum, one that doesn't shrink in the face of change, but expands with it. You begin to see every challenge not as a burden, but as a puzzle waiting to be solved. Obstacles no longer feel like walls. They become riddles that demand your attention, your creativity, and your courage. This shift in thinking changes everything. It's how industries are disrupted, how new fortunes are made, how enduring legacies are born. Consider the 1950s, a decade of explosive change. As technology advanced and global markets shifted, the world moved faster than ever before. Those who waited, who resisted, who clung to outdated methods were left behind. But those who adjusted, who refined their strategies, embraced new technologies, explored unfamiliar tools, and listened carefully to the direction the future was moving, they surged ahead. What gave them that edge? It wasn't luck. It wasn't timing. It was disciplined adaptability. The disciplined mind does not demand that the world conform to its expectations. Instead, it trains itself to meet the world as it truly is, and then shape it into what it can become. This is a mindset you must cultivate. Like strength, adaptability must be trained. Stretch your thinking beyond what's familiar. Push yourself outside of what's comfortable. Try new approaches, even when they carry risk. Study emerging trends. Watch the edges of culture, innovation, and business. Ask the questions others are too afraid to ask. And when disruption comes, and it will, don't retreat. Don't hide. Open the door. Meet it with clarity. Make it your discipline not to imitate what's already been done, but to innovate boldly. To explore when others retreat. To create when others collapse. Let every obstacle refine your thinking. Let every setback fortify your resilience. This is how you lead, not only in business, but in life. Because change is coming. In our careers, our communities, and the world at large, change is the only certainty. But with disciplined adaptability, you won't just weather change, you'll lead through it. So I urge you, make mental flexibility a daily practice. Anchor yourself in purpose, yes, but stay fluid in how you move toward it. Don't be rattled by uncertainty. Don't freeze when plans fall apart. Train your mind to bend without breaking. Because in that space, between pressure and persistence, lies your advantage. Change rewards the prepared mind. So discipline yourself to be ready, to anticipate, to act. When you do, every disruption becomes an opportunity. Every wave of uncertainty becomes wind in your sails. And remember this, your mindset determines the direction of your life. It is your compass, subtle but powerful, guiding you through adversity, through opportunity, through every season of change. A disciplined, resilient mindset isn't just a motivational phrase. It's a lifelong advantage. It is the foundation upon which greatness is built. Consider Winston Churchill, a man who stood at the helm of a nation gripped by fear, facing the brutal storm of war. During the darkest hours of World War II, when bombs rained down and the very future of freedom hung in the balance, Churchill made a decision. He chose not to surrender to despair. He chose to discipline his mind. He refused to let chaos define his thinking. Instead, he drew from deep wells of resilience, rooted himself in purpose, and held tightly to an unwavering belief in victory, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. That belief, forged not in comfort, but in crisis, lit a spark of hope in millions. It gave his people something to hold on to, something to fight for. And let's be clear, this was not blind optimism. It was disciplined optimism. It was a daily decision not to let fear dictate his words or actions. It was a fierce refusal to bow to hopelessness, to doubt, to defeat. Churchill's strength was not simply in his speeches, but in the mindset he disciplined himself to carry through every moment of darkness. His story may belong to history books, but the lesson is timeless. Each of us, in our own lives, faces battles, some visible, some deeply personal. And in those moments of trial, the mindset we choose becomes either our most powerful weapon or our heaviest burden. When we discipline our minds to search for possibilities instead of limitations, everything changes. Setbacks begin to look like stepping stones. Failures no longer define us, they refine us. And obstacles? They start to appear less like roadblocks and more like invitations for growth. But make no mistake, this kind of mindset doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't come naturally to most. It is developed day by day through intentional effort, through conscious practice. Gratitude is one such discipline. When we train ourselves to focus on what we do have, instead of obsessing over what's missing, we create space in our minds for clarity, strength, and peace. Gratitude isn't passive. It's an active decision to nourish our inner world, especially when our outer world is uncertain. And optimism? It's not some naive escape from reality. It's the deliberate choice to look beyond the pain of the present and believe in the value of perseverance. It's choosing to see light when everything around you seems shadowed. This is where discipline becomes essential. Discipline is the bridge between intention and action. It's what makes a mindset not just inspirational, but transformational. Without discipline, positivity is fragile, easily shattered by hardship. But with discipline, positivity becomes something much stronger, grounded, durable, capable of carrying you through the most difficult seasons of life. Because when optimism is fueled by discipline, it becomes a force not of wishful thinking, but of lasting impact. We begin to see the world not just as it is, but as it could be. We stop accepting limitations as truth and start seeing possibilities where others see only barriers. Where some perceive a wall, we begin to notice a hidden door. Every morning, without exception, offers us a fresh opportunity to train the mind. The question is, what will you focus on? Will you dwell on your limits or lean into your potential? Will you let fear dictate your thoughts, or will you ground yourself in courage and clarity? That choice, every single day, is yours. And with each disciplined thought, with every moment you redirect your focus from doubt to direction, you inch closer to the life you imagine. Because your thoughts aren't just fleeting ideas, they're the architects of your future. They lay the blueprint for your actions, your habits, and ultimately, your destiny. So shape your thinking carefully. Build your mindset with purpose. Guide it with discipline. Because in the end, it's not luck, talent, or circumstance that determines the outcome of your life. It's the mindset you choose to live by every day without fail. Choose discipline. Choose optimism. And watch, day by day, as the course of your life begins to shift. Not randomly, not accidentally, but by deliberate design. Your design, discipline in motion. Because action, real, measurable action, is the ultimate proof of discipline. It's easy to dream, to make plans, to talk about your goals. It's easy to say you're waiting for the right time. But without movement, without momentum, those ideas stay suspended, unrealized, untouched. True discipline isn't proven in thought. It's revealed in motion. Success in any area, whether it's business, relationships, health, or legacy, demands consistent, focused effort. It demands the courage to take action when conditions are uncertain and the resilience to keep moving when progress is slow, invisible, or even painful. Think of Andrew Carnegie, one of the great industrialists of the modern era. Born into poverty, Carnegie's rise was not a product of luck. It was the result of relentless, disciplined action. He didn't wait for opportunities to appear. He created them. Day after day, he worked with focus and intention. He invested in knowledge, built meaningful relationships, and took risks when others hesitated. He studied industries, analyzed trends, and positioned himself not for short-term gain, but for long-term impact. Carnegie's legacy wasn't just his financial wealth. It was the result of a mindset committed to disciplined, purposeful motion. He moved forward when others stalled. He stayed steady when others grew tired. And that, more than anything, defined his success. It was built on a foundation of habit, of relentless forward motion, day after day. That is the true nature of discipline. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. Discipline shows up when it's hard to act, when motivation has disappeared, and when the tempting voice of delay whispers that tomorrow might be better. But discipline doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. It acts, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Because procrastination is no harmless habit. It is the silent thief of dreams. It steals your momentum one pause at a time. It erodes your confidence in slow, subtle ways. And worst of all, it traps you in a cycle of potential that is never fully realized. So how do you escape that trap? You train yourself deliberately to act. You teach your mind that hesitation is not an option. Discipline yourself to take the first step, then take the next, and the one after that. Progress doesn't come from rare moments of inspiration or bursts of massive action. It's built in quiet, consistent effort. It's found in steady, deliberate strides that accumulate over time. Even the smallest disciplined action brings you closer to the life you're working for. And when opportunity appears, as it always does, often disguised as a challenge, discipline makes all the difference. Because when that door cracks open, hesitation can be fatal. The disciplined mind doesn't wait. It responds swiftly, decisively. It recognizes that the perfect moment doesn't exist, and that waiting is simply fear in disguise. Discipline quiets that fear. It silences doubt. It fuels movement when everything around you says wait. And because of that, it ensures you're ready, not just to face the moment, but to seize it when it comes. So let your actions speak louder than your intentions. Let what you do, not just what you say, prove who you are. Let your discipline be visible not in promises, but in the results you produce. Because talk doesn't change lives. Habits do. Your habits shape your future. Your discipline defines your success. One intentional step forward, taken today, not someday, holds more power than 1,000 unspoken plans. So don't just think. Don't just dream. Don't just prepare. Do. Show up. Every single day. Do the work, especially when it's hard. Because that's when it matters most. Push through the resistance. Keep moving forward. Momentum isn't something that appears. It's something you build slowly, consistently, with every choice you make. Your destiny isn't a gift waiting at the end of the road. It's a structure you build, one disciplined action at a time, brick by brick, step by step. Look closely at the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not connections or timing. The difference is action. And behind every meaningful action, behind every move that shapes a better life, stands a quiet but powerful force, discipline. So choose disciplined action. Let it shape the way you respond when things get hard. Let it define who you become, not just when the world is watching, but especially when it's not. Let it move you forward when you feel stuck. Let it lead you to the life you're meant to live. Because ultimately, living with discipline isn't just about achieving personal goals or building success for yourself. It's about leaving something behind, something that lasts. A legacy, a life that speaks even after you're gone. Just look at the enduring impact of figures like Mother Teresa. Her disciplined commitment to compassion, service, and sacrifice transformed countless lives. She didn't act for recognition. She acted with purpose, and that purpose, sustained by discipline, became her legacy. Discipline yourself to live with that same clarity, guided by a vision greater than personal comfort or gain. Ask yourself honestly, how do I want to be remembered? Let that vision anchor your daily actions. Let focus your energy. Let it be the standard by which you live and lead. Because your disciplined choices today will echo far beyond you. They will shape the lives of others. They will inspire those who follow. They will become the seeds of a legacy that lives on. So commit, not just to achievement, but to a purposeful, disciplined life. One that leaves something meaningful behind. Discipline is your master key. Use it wisely, and greatness will meet you on the path. Wishing you strength, clarity, and purpose on your journey. Stay healthy, stay inspired, and don't forget to subscribe to Mindset Daily for more content to fuel your growth.